Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter case is over. Listen, I was ready to get up on here and recap last week and tell you my thoughts on what was going to happen this coming week, but now this thing is done, we might as well talk about it. My name is Jamahl Kersey. I'm the principal attorney at Kersey Law. We're a boutique criminal defense firm in San Diego, California. And so let's get right into it. The judge dismissed this case with prejudice, and that's significant because it means that the DA cannot refile this case against Baldwin. So if the judge dismisses a case without prejudice, that means that they can, get another bite at the apple. But in this situation, they can't. And, Alec Baldwin was facing up to 18 months in prison. And listen, that's enough, at his age, I believe he's in his mid 60s. That's enough to make the most cool, calm, and collected person nervous. And listen, anything can happen at trial. We're in the middle of trial, or we were in the middle of the trial. And, listen, there have been plenty of cases where the prosecution thinks that they have a slam dunk and it turns out to be a mistrial or an outright acquittal, right? But for the defense as well, you may think that you have a rock solid defense and the jury, for whatever reason, finds your client guilty. And as a defense attorney, if you've tried enough cases, you've definitely had in your career at least one of those where you just completely disagree with the jury's decision. So you just never know how a jury is going to decide. And that's part of what makes trials so emotionally difficult. And even just the lawyer's counsel to their client, you can say, hey, we have a solid defense, but you never know how it's going to turn out. And again, the tragedy of this all is this was a work accident, right? These people were at work creating art, and this is the ultimate result. And so again, my heart goes out to Ms. Hutchins and her family. But this case ended up going to trial because Baldwin obviously pled not guilty, so he was denying any criminal liability at all. And this was based on the absolutely reasonable belief that the gun was loaded with blanks versus live rounds. And so what led to this situation was the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office crime scene technician, Marissa Popple, was called as a witness. And she was questioned as to whether a good Samaritan had gone to law enforcement with ammunition earlier this year. And so apparently there was evidence that would have pointed to the potential source of the live ammunition, right? Because again, we're talking about a movie set and there should never have been live rounds. So if you have the source or a potential source of this ammunition, then obviously that's going to be relevant information. And so she confirmed that Troy Teskey dropped off Colt 45 rounds to law enforcement. Teskey is a former law enforcement officer, but he's also a friend of Hannah Gutierrez Reed's stepfather. And remember, Hannah Gutierrez Reed was the armorer on the Rust set, and she had been convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to the max 18 months. And so apparently the very same day that Gutierrez Reed was convicted was the same day that these rounds were dropped off. And so Teskey had told the investigators, hey, I think this ammunition could possibly be associated with this Rust incident. And so what should have happened was this information should have been included as evidence associated with Baldwin's case. Teskey's statement should have been disclosed to the defense, and these bullets, should have been tested by law enforcement. But did that happen? Apparently not. These items were cataloged separately from Baldwin's case. They were excluded from the Rust case inventory, and they were not tested in order to see whether these rounds matched the lethal round, right? And so the defense had argued, hey, listen, prosecutors, they hid this information related to this ammunition, and this could have been the tie to the deadly shooting. And so under these grounds, they moved for a mistrial. They basically argued that they should have had the opportunity to analyze for themselves whether the ammunition was relevant or not the DA, looking at this and saying, oh, no, it's not relevant, so we're not going to turn it over. And the DA tried to argue that, hey, this was not hidden from the defense, and it really wouldn't have been relevant to the issues in this case. And so the judge ultimately, as you know at this point, ruled in favor of the defense. And in support of her ruling, she said that because this information was revealed at such a late stage in the game, it's made it fundamentally unfair for the defense. You can't find out about something like this in the middle of the trial and have time to, remedy the issue, right? And on top of that, this information certainly would have been something that the defense would have wanted to refer to in their opening statements. And so the judge made a very stern finding in her ruling, basically saying, hey, if this conduct does not rise to the level of bad faith, it certainly comes so near to bad faith as to show signs of scorching prejudice. Those are pretty much as strong as it gets in terms of a ruling to dismiss a case. Basically, she's saying that it's possible that there was intentional wrongdoing and covering up of evidence in this case. But even if it weren't intentional, I mean, this is just so bad that it's made this whole trial process extremely unfair. And, anytime you have some sort of issue like this, I mean, the judge is going to see what she can do to salvage the case to keep the trial going. But she said that there's no way for the court to right this wrong. And so dismissing the case was the only possible remedy. And again, whether it was purposeful on the prosecution's part or just negligent, I mean, this is a problem. You cannot just sit on evidence that would be favorable to the defense just because it would be harmful to your case or for any other reason. A prosecutor has a duty to turn over evidence that could be exculpatory, and exculpatory means removing blame or guilt. And so if a DA has evidence that demonstrates that the accused might not have committed the crime, they have to turn it over. And they also have a duty to turn over such evidence in a timely manner. And this only makes sense, right? The defense needs the opportunity to conduct their own investigation, to, call their own experts and analyze evidence and prepare their defense, right? And you can see how this would create a conflict for a prosecutor, right? Obviously, they want justice, which in their mind might include getting a conviction. But if they have information that could raise doubt as to the defendant's guilt, they might not want to turn that over, right? And often the troubling issue is like, who would ever know that a prosecutor is doing this, right? A lot of times law enforcement and the DA's office are the only people who would know that this evidence exists. And so we have to bank on the ethics of a prosecutor doing the right thing. And, naturally, there's a lot of people who don't have trust and faith that the DA is going to do the right thing under these circumstances. And listen, at the end of the day, I know that there's a lot of people who wanted Alec Baldwin convicted. They blamed him for this situation and wanted him to do time. And, I can understand where people are coming from when it comes to gun safety, and you always check a weapon and you never fire it towards somebody. But again, the position is that if there is somebody responsible for making sure that a live round does not make it onto a movie set, whether that's the armorer or the blanks supplier, then, I as an actor, I should be able to bank on that. There should be no risk whatsoever that when I fire this weapon, a live round is going to come out. And so again, I think if this trial would have proceeded on its merits, I think that would have been one of the strongest defenses. I don't think it would have been a strong defense to try and say that the weapon wasn't fired by Baldwin. I think that, seemed really absurd to me. But I mean, apparently the way the law enforcement tested this particular firearm, they basically deprived the defense of their opportunity to run their own independent testing, which I think would have been a factor as well. But we don't have to deal with that issue because this case has been dismissed. And so let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this is the proper outcome? Do you think the judge made the right decision? And how did you want this case to play out if this wasn't an issue? Do you think Baldwin should have been found guilty or there should have been an acquittal? Well, that's it for this video. So if you got something out of this, please show me some love. Hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a new video when it drops. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.